Joined now by basketball royalty Debbie Antonelli, legendary broadcaster and former player. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hold My Banner.
Guys, it's a pleasure to be with you. I apologize for the golf gear, but I literally just ran off the 18th, so I can spend some time with you guys.
We know you got game on the court and on the course as well. So I want to ask you about the WNBA Draft. We're just days away from it. And we know Paige Buckets is going number 1 overall. Mm-hmm. And we'll get into her later. But I kind of want to pick your brain at the top of the draft after the first pick. How do you sort of see this playing out?
I think with every draft, as you guys know, it's about fit. It's not just who was the greatest college player. I think it matters with the rest of the roster and what the schedule looks like, what you need. Depth is always an issue. The WNBA will have 11 roster spots. However, there is one expansion team, the Golden State team. So it's an exciting time for the players. But the class is going to be really interesting. I mean, after Paige, I think it's wide open. Seattle has the next pick. And as much front court help as they have, I think Malanga from France is probably going to be the second pick. She had a great Olympic experience on the international stage. She's long and athletic. She's young. And I think she would be an excellent choice for them. They've got Skylar Diggins at the point. They could probably use a backup point guard, but I think if you're going for who's the best athlete and what might fit what you need, and a replacement for Nneka Ogwumike down the road, I think that's a good pick for them.
All right, now I want to ask you about Paige Bueckers because – look, we all got attached to her from the beginning. She came into UConn with the hype. She lived up to the hype. Then she got injured, kind of takes the air out of the room like, oh, no. But then we watch her come back from that, which we all love a great comeback. Then she finally gets a natty. I mean, it feels like we've watched the Paige Bueckers story. We all know she's a star. We all know she can hoop. I mean, are we talking Caitlin Clark here year one? Like, is she going to come into the wings and make that kind of immediate impact? No one knows Caitlin Clark's impact more than you. We'll get to her later as well. But do you think Paige Bueckers can sort of have that same transition to the WNBA as Caitlin Clark did?
I think she can. I think there's those that struggle and there's those that adjust. Mm-hmm. I think Paige Bueckers is going to adjust. There's no question it's going to be physical, but she's not going to have to play the same amount of minutes, I think, that Caitlin plays. I think she could. I do think that Dallas is in somewhat of a rebuild, but as far as impact and Taylor Swift on sneakers and the Beatles and all the stuff that we have with Caitlin Clark, I definitely think she's going to have that kind of impact. And you guys are absolutely right. The kid's story is absolutely amazing. A lot of people are questioning the sample size that she has from a physicality standpoint with the injury history that she has. But I think in the WNBA, she's going to adjust. I don't think she's going to struggle. And I think if she plays the point or the off guard, she can certainly guard multiple positions, but she can score. And if she's a catch and shoot, she's capable of doing that as well. And I'm seeing her probably 25, 26, 27 minutes a game and having an immediate impact on the league.
Wow. Yeah. And as it pertains to Caitlin Clark, obviously the Fever have had a huge offseason this year. They have back-to-back picks in the second round, and you cover the Fever, so we'll talk a little bit more about them in a little bit. But who do you think they should kind of target in that second round range to help build Caitlin Clark and what Aaliyah Boston have already built there in Indiana?
The interesting thing about the Indiana Fever, and I've been with the franchise for 20 years, it never really was about the draft for them until the franchise was at an all-time low. Then you get the number 1 pick, you get back-to-back number 1 picks, and we've seen this happen in the history of the W. When that happens, you get 2 really good players. It's a landscape changer, and certainly with the offseason moves that Kelly Krauskopf and Amber Cox, the front office, have made around Caitlin, they're set to win right away. I think expectations will be very high. I'm looking forward to seeing what it looks like when they all come together, but certainly the pieces that they brought in are good. So second round picks, to your question, for the Indiana Fever, I'm not sure how likely it is going to be that somebody in the second round makes the team, but that doesn't mean that they couldn't make it. It's just going to be tough based on the moves that Kelly Krauskopf and Amber Cox have made to put Stephanie White, the new head coach, in a position to succeed right away around Caitlin.
Let's talk Caitlin. I mean, honestly, I need all of it. Give me everything. Give me the goods, Debbie. I need it. I want stories. I want your first impression when she got to town. What do you see? You watch all her games, like up close and personal. What do you see when you watch her? What's she like? Give me everything. Give me the goods here.
Well, I've been following this kid, and I saw her playing in high school, obviously on the summer recruiting trail. And then her freshman year, she was neck and neck right there for all the national awards. I think people forget that Paige Bueckers, the freshman year, they were both freshmen together, swept all the national awards. And actually, Caitlin's numbers were a little bit better in some categories. Just the brand of UConn was so strong on the national stage. And then Caitlin just, that little bit of a rub right there, I mean, she's a highly competitive person. She is a great teammate. She understands completely where she is in the landscape of sport, not just women's sport and basketball, but in sport in general. And the group around her has surrounded her with people that will help her succeed. She's a kid. She's 23, and she handled a lot of things last year. And I will tell you guys, I never heard her not one time say the wrong thing in a press conference, regardless of the topic. She always took the high road when people were coming at her. And I just think that she's a remarkable teammate, and I think she makes everybody else around her better. One of the traits I love the most about her is she sees all 9 players. When she's on the floor, she sees all 9. And that is a hard thing to do for any point guard. But that just shows you where her IQ is, because certainly the skills there, the three-point bombs are amazing. And then the pace that they play with, the way they accelerate through their offense. This team's built for speed. And it's going to be exciting to watch because she's going to be on top with the ball. There are going to be times they'll get her off the ball. But I've called it Clarkonomics. I've coined the phrase because we've never had this kind of disruption in women's basketball. And I mean that as a positive. Yeah. It is a market changer. And thankfully, we have Clarkonomics.
Clarkonomics is fantastic, Debbie. I mean, honestly, we got to get this on T-shirts. That's fantastic.
I already have my T-shirts. I can send you guys some if you want one.
Yes, please.
Come on.
We have to send it.
Oh,
I will.
I love it. All right, we're getting our T-shirts, and we will be wearing them here. And by the way, this will not be your last trip here to Hold My Banner. You'll be back with us for sure, so we'll wear those shirts when you're back on. Now, she has a legendary work ethic, and you being a part of the Fever broadcast team, you get to see that. I got to ask you, as you look at her game, and we're giving all these flowers to her, rightfully so, what do you see, though, in terms of what she can work on now? How do we sort of take her game to the next level? And we know she's attacking them, obviously, in the offseason as we get ready for the season. But what do you think she's working on? What do you think is missing from her game that she will add to take her to that next stratosphere?
So the next thing she needed was some more physicality, just to pump up. She's been in the gym and she's killing it. I don't know if you've seen any photos of her.
I've seen the photos. She looks jacked.
She's jacked.
She's jacked up, man. She knew what she needed to do. And there's nothing in her skill set that's missing. The pace and the tempo with which they played, that's what's going to change. So there's a wear down factor to playing with accelerated pace, not just 94 feet, but playing at an accelerated pace in the court as well. How quickly you get to those middle ball screens. How much Aaliyah Boston has benefited from Caitlin's ability to play in the middle third, short roll, Aaliyah Boston make a decision left or right, shooters all around. Cutters. Stephanie White knows exactly what she's running, and she knows exactly how they're going to be able to score. Caitlin has so many ways she can make the defense wrong. And that's what you're trying to do as an offensive player. You're trying to find an edge, an advantage, a crack, a seal, an angle, some sort of window that you can work your game and work the basketball into. And she certainly has the ability to do that. But she constantly makes the defense wrong. So no matter what you scheme, whatever you throw at her, you can blitz her all you want. She was the most blitz player in the league last year. The more you blitz her, the more it's going to put you at a deficit because she's just gotten so much better at it. And even at the end of the season, it tapered off a little bit. But her physicality, her physical strength is going to manage all those combination scheming, multiple actions that come at her defensively. I just think she's going to keep making the defense wrong.
Yeah. Two big stars we just talked about, Paige Bueckers, Caitlin Clark. huge stars in the going to be in the WNBA. A star that we thought was going to the WNBA. It shocked us a lot. Olivia Miles. She was a projected number 2 pick in this draft.
Man.
Decided to forego the WNBA draft this year and transfer from Notre Dame to TCU. From your perspective, what could have went into a decision like that?
I think there's a couple things. So I think I had Notre Dame maybe 11 times last year, so I covered them quite a bit. So when you're around a program that much, you see all the great things, but you also find a few warts, if you will. And, for Olivia, I think she's got to get physically stronger. I think she's very good on the right side of the floor, making plays with her right hand, playing at double teams, throwing the crackback pass. But if you get her to the left side, I think it's a different offensive game for her. And also, she's got to be better on defense. Teams were picking on her at the end. And, as much as she has improved her three-point shooting, which is tremendous what she's been able to do, that all the things that I just am picking about, she's going to improve upon and get better because she knows those are the things she needs to do. When LA traded their second pick to get Kelsey Plum and put the number 2 pick with Seattle, it made me question whether she would be the number 2 pick. I didn't have her as the number 2 pick, but that doesn't mean that Seattle didn't have her there. I just thought that she wasn't what they needed. I liked the kid from France better, Malunga. I think that's how you say her name. And she's just long and athletic and active. And I think Olivia made a decision based on what was best for Olivia Miles, and that was to stay in college, make some NIL money, go to TCU where Mark Campbell will run a lot of ball screen offense in the middle third, a very much pro-heavy offense, and I think she'll benefit from it. She knows she's going to have to improve in those areas, so I expect she will.
I want to ask you about the Connecticut Sun as we go back to the draft, though. This is sort of a big picture, almost schematic question, not so much players. The Sun right now are rebuilding, and they have multiple picks in this draft. Big picture. Is this a strong draft class in terms of if you have a lot of holes on your roster and you need to fill those, is this the draft class for you? Or have you seen, maybe drafts in the past or there's a future draft coming where you're like, no, this will be the big one in next year or whatever. Is this a good draft class to sort of be in a rebuild, Debbie?
I think, I can't speak for Jen Rosati, the president, or Morgan Tuck, who's the GM. They are both high-level basketball people and thinkers. They have a new coach. I think there's going to be some transition for them. I think overall their franchise is kind of in an interesting position. We have a lot of expansion coming up, and that's a tough market for free agency. It's hard to get there, and I think from a free agency standpoint, that would probably be their best go to be competitive right away. And I do think that Jen Rosati knows exactly what she's doing. She knows it's a rebuild. Washington's in a similar situation. I think Atlanta might be in a similar situation. But the sheer makeup of where Connecticut is, the free agency market as a destination city, from a travel standpoint, is challenging to get there. I just kind of feel like Boston is a good spot for them. They have moved a game there. There are 4 or 5 franchises right now that have moved games when the Indiana Fever come to town. And I'm not kidding, guys. It is absolutely amazing when we're on the road with the Fever. It does have a feel like if I was around during the Beatles, I'm guessing that's what it would feel like. But it is amazing. I've heard others call Caitlin Taylor Swift with tennis shoes. I do see that. I think because teams have moved their franchise, their home games to accommodate the Fever, I'm interested to see how Connecticut. I think they're going to move one game with the Fever to Boston Garden for sure. Mm-hmm. I think it's something that they're looking at, and I'm sure the league is looking at it also.
Yeah, and look, that draft class from last year, 2024, has to be one of the best of all time in WNBA history.
Yes, Caitlin,
Angel Reese,
Brink,
Cameron Brink, Cardoso, a bunch of other stars. Rakia Jackson. I could keep going, right?
Yeah.
How does this class 2025 stack up against last year's class?
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't answer that question. Yes, it doesn't stack up to that. Not to that level. Rakia Jackson is one that I think is going to have a huge year. Cameron's just coming back off injury, and hopefully she'll be good, and Cameron Brink will be healthy and ready to go. That's a 1-2 punch right there in LA with Kelsey Plum. That's going to be really good. They're instantly going to be better. No, I don't think this draft class is going to match up to what that one is. Not when you have Caitlin Clark, who's a complete landscape changer.